Okay, this has been something that I've seen all over the internet for the longest time, and I've been around the block a few times. This goes back to the 90s. Goku having a sister? Why am I even mentioning this? We keep getting asked this on our roundtable live streams, and I keep seeing this in forums and always being up for debate. Now, I want to tackle it, at least in the form of a short story. Be sure to keep an eye out for that community tab on May the 1st, but for now though, let's delve into the idea of Goku having a sister. This is an April Fool what if. We can be a little more lax here. Please don't take it seriously, okay? I do see a lot of comments thinking that I take this seriously. I really do not. Does Raditz still exist, Masako? Yes, our boy is safe. For now. There's maybe a period of, 7 years or so between the birth of their firstborn Raditz and their other one Kakarot, so maybe somewhere in the middle will suffice. 3 years after the birth of Raditz, Gine had once again found herself pregnant with her and Bardock's second child. But it's not Kakarot. The father of Raditz was a little apprehensive of having another kid, but he had hope, a little bit of hope, that this one would yield something maybe more promising than the likes of his firstborn son. I mean, Raditz wasn't a total weakling. His power level at birth was about, I don't know, 120, but he wasn't anything special. He might improve a bit once he started, walking around and maybe learning the ropes and the tricks of the trade through the school of very hard Saiyan knocks. But for now, this was all just pure conjecture in Bardock's mind. When it came time to extract the baby from Gine's womb, which, based on what we know with nursing capsules and Saiyans, that tended to happen quite early on in comparison to humans, they soon discovered that their next child would be a girl. Bardock held his tongue, but initially cursed the outcome in his mind. He didn't want to get into a fight with Gine about this though. He hated fighting with her. Who would cook him his food? He didn't like anyone else's grub, so arguments with her were very pointless. It didn't benefit him. Gine then named her second-born Jocha, named after the rarest veggie in the world, Jocha, or Kaigua, and was thrilled to watch her gestate and develop. Raditz also took an interest whenever he was home, very keen to meet his younger sister. Over the months that followed, Bardock was being hounded by his squad and his superiors about having a daughter. To them, it was a little bit of a, "Oh, better luck next time, Bardock. At least your gal will be a pretty one, huh? I mean, it makes sense because that Gine's a little bit of a cutie," said a very bold and then very injured grunt. Since Bardock had broken his nose for slating his daughter and his woman, he was starting to get sick and tired of all the negative, surly, and pervy comments and the annoying remarks about having a daughter. He spent one day during his time off looking at the developing Jocha and chose to check her power level just for kicks. He hadn't checked before because he thought, oh, well, what's the point? Wait, is this for real? His scouter was beeping like crazy, and the good kind of beeping. It caught Raditz's attention as well, him being pulled away from his very important game of beetle bashing.
Papa, what's the beeping?
It's my scouter, Raditz. Your sister's causing it to read something interesting.
It does? What's it say?
A final beep gave a reading of 236. What? Already? Raditz looked to Bardock's elated face, and then to the capsule containing Jocha, who wasn't fully formed yet, and so far just looked a bit of a funky fetus or something like that. Bardock had completely forgotten his son was in the room, in fact, and now, because of this, Raditz hated Jocha. I mean, come on, he's 4 years old right now, and of course he would be jealous, because he's not getting any attention. As a result, Raditz gravitated more toward his mother, but Bardock paid no mind to this and would often keep tabs on his daughter's power level, often calling Gine to say, "Has it fluctuated up already?" When it came time for her to emerge fully from her capsule, her power read a whopping 471. Wow, that wasn't all that far of what Prince Vegeta's power level was at birth. Hot damn! 471? Wow, she's gonna be a great fighter no matter what they say.
Well, she might not want to be one, Papa. Maybe she might want to be a cook like Mama.
Please. A true Saiyan with this kind of power is built for far greater things than that. Gine coughed since she was in the room, looking very displeased at that remark. Oh well, present company accepted. Good. She then relayed the info that she was pregnant again, And this time around, Bardock was much happier than he was at the news of Jocha's existence. This third kid might be even stronger than Jocha, since she was stronger than Raditz. But Raditz had had enough. There was no way he was going to be the weakest, and yet the eldest. He was hatching a plan, and it would manifest itself not long after this news. Jocha was a very sweet little girl, but incredibly naive, like her mother. Raditz would often prank her or tell her things that were straight up not true. He would often get in trouble for misguiding Jocha, even Gine telling him off, to which he loathed that happening. He didn't want to upset his mother, but as he would tell them,
It's so damn easy, Mama. What kind of warrior will she be if she's easily led astray like that?
Bardock said he would teach her to be more careful when she was ready for that particular kind of training and combat. Well, about that. One day, when Raditz and Jocha were busy playing outside, she didn't like beetles, so that made it even worse, two Saiyan elites approached their mud hut of her home. Bardock was out on a mission at the time, and Gine was preparing the nursing capsule ready for their third child to be transferred into. Bardock had bestowed him the name Kakarot in readiness since Gine got to name the second one. The elites walked up to the kids and spoke to the elder one.
Hey kid, that the gal you mentioned?
Jocha looked very confused at why these men were talking to his brother.
What's he mean by that, brother?
Yes, this is her.
The two nodded.
What's going on?
She asked nervously.
You've been chosen, sister. Mama and Papa wish for you to achieve great things, and now you shall, for the glory of the Saiyan race.
Jocha didn't like the sound of this and began to whimper considerably. Onio, the larger of the two elites, grabbed her and pulled her away.
Well, come on, girlie! The king wants a word with ya!
No, I don't want to go! Mama! Mama!
The other elite grabbed her, and within the space of 2 seconds, they had flown away without a trace with their quarry. Raditz simply just let her go. He let out a deep breath, happy to see her gone, and out of his copious hair, and began to put on the act that he had been planning for a long time. Cover himself in dirt and scuffing his face a little before Gine, his mother, emerged from the hut.
Mama, help! Jocha's been kidnapped!
Gine rushed outside and sure enough found Jocha to be gone and Raditz to be injured, apparently.
Raditz, what happened? Who took her?
Some bandits looking for slave labor. I tried to hold them up, but they were too strong. Oh, damn it! I'm a pathetic excuse of a brother.
Gine held him tight and cooed.
You're not Raditz. Shh, you did your best. Those lowlifes always like to pick on those smaller than themselves. They must have waited for Bardock to be away before they struck. Come on, we've got to tell your father.
With that, they rushed back into the house, and Gine got on the galactic blower and promptly told Bardock what had happened. Needless to say, he wasn't happy. But for now, this story is mainly about what happened to Jocha. Thanks to Raditz's intense jealousy and conniving attitude, hey, I know we like him here on the channel, but we gotta be real. She got carted off to the royal barracks, where the Saiyan elites go to train and become the best of the best in secret. It's a place where the most cushy of all Saiyans get to live. You know, sort of like Eton College. Now, of course, Jocha was born from a low-class family, and naturally, this level of progression for them would never be granted. Her father was only gifted mid-class status reluctantly due to the fact that he had a really good performance record, and it would look really weird if he didn't get promoted, and he'd actually accrued this over decades. But this time around, her power level was far too close to Prince Vegeta's to allow her to roam free. They had to keep a lid on her and monitor her progress, and of course, ultimately, to use her for their own gain. Sure, she would kick and scream right now, but in time that would change. She would start to get it and work and behave like a Saiyan elite. Onio was noting that her resistance was very potent for a 4-year-old girl.
That Raditz squirt wasn't kidding. She's got some spunk.
The time came for her to meet King Vegeta. Now, this wasn't afforded to any average Saiyan Joe, I'll tell you that. And also, when I say meet, this wasn't for a sit-down chit-chat over tea or anything like that. No. This was more to do with the king just watching her and sizing her up, seeing what her mettle was. And he was disappointed. Of course, the scanners and the readouts and the charts and the statistics from the scientists showcased her power level of nearly 500 and the potential was through the roof, but her overall look and demeanor were woefully lacking. She had the power of a Saiyan warrior, but she didn't act like one. He knelt down to her and gazed into her eyes, his ultimate test. Are you frightened of me, child? Jocha was doing her best not to collapse into a flood of tears, but she gingerly nodded in silence. The king sighed. When you are no longer cowering at the sight of your king, you will be of use to me. For now, you are not. The king turned away, not looking at her a second longer, and promptly ordered for her to be escorted out of the room and sent to basic training for child recruits. Jocha's resolve broke down, and she flailed as much as she could to try and escape. When she left the room, King Vegeta smiled. My son would do well to marry that one. A strong Saiyan woman for a strong future king. Of course, Bardock did his best to find out what had happened to his daughter. Of course he would. He searched high and low for any sort of trace or information as to the whereabouts of Jocha. Bandits weren't usually the smartest or shrewdest kidnappers and often left clues as to their whereabouts. They were not elegant in that department, but this time around, they had cleaned up bizarrely well. They had been really good at this. There was not an inkling as to where she might be. And when he asked his colleagues and the elite, who would barely talk to him at the best of times, as to regarding clues of her location, they would come up with nothing. But the elites did know what happened to her, but of course they would never tell him. A low-class luckster, he didn't deserve to rear such a strong child, only they deserved it. Ah, classic elitist behaviour. Don't you just love it? The only thing that could soothe his brow right now was the arrival of Kakarot and his gestation. It was a crushing blow to lose Jocha, but surely Kakarot would be strong enough to make up for it, maybe get his revenge and find his sister. And that maybe might ease his pain, right? Wrong! A power level of 2! 2? 2? That was offensively bad! Even Raditz was stronger than him! Sure enough, said child was elated at the news of his weakling of a brother. He could lord over him without any worry, not having a care about losing attention. He was basically the only thing that Bardock had left in terms of a Saiyan warrior. Since Jocha had gone, Raditz naturally did get more attention from both of his parents. And Bardock even reluctantly sent him down the path of doing missions out in the field. Yes, he wasn't going to be mixing it up with the big boys of the elites for big missions anytime soon, but at least he might be of some use for crowd control. As Bardock lamented his lot in life at having a weak third born and an absent second one, Jocha, without him even knowing it, was put through her paces at elite training. Naturally, those who were born elite class despised her since she wasn't from their caste and detested those inferior to them, something they learnt through osmosis from their parents. And yet, they wouldn't dare physically hurt her. After all, they're all mouth and no bite. They valued numbers and power levels greatly, and hers was the highest of all of them, so it would be foolish to attack her directly. So they did the next best thing. Ignored her, isolated her, cut her off from socializing. She was totally alone. All that she had, Jocha, was the memory of her parents and her brother, and the thought of her younger sibling gestating in that pod.
Kakarot.
She would mutter. She would vow to be a good big sister, and one day find him. Little did she know, though, that that would be a whole lot harder than she had bargained for. When she turned 7, it had become clear that she had inherited the same gut feeling that her father had regarding something being off with most things, about how Saiyan society worked. She had noticed that all Saiyan battalions were being told to report to planet Vegeta, based on communication through the Scouters, but her group had been given a counter-order not to return. Strange. That rarely happened. But which group was she in? Well, karmic justice for a certain spiky-haired individual. 2 Saiyan grunts relayed the news to the group leader Nappa that planet Vegeta had been destroyed by an errant meteorite and that nearly all of the Saiyans in the galaxy had been wiped out. Only a small handful of them, including themselves, were left. Jocha was devastated at the news. It seemed like her entire family had been taken from her by some stupid comet. Yes, my friends, Raditz too, but that's what you get for being a sneak.
Mama, Papa, Raditz, Kakarot. No. Oh, come on. Thank your lucky stars that you're alive at least,
piped up a rather entitled kid with a very distinct widow's peak.
You're in the presence of the Prince of all Saiyans.
Jocha scoffed.
Whatever's left.
What was that?
Vegeta snarled back, but Nappa quickly put an end to that spat.
This is no time to go at each other's throats, Prince. We need to get back to Freezer Planet 79 and find out who made it out of there. For now, Put your squabbles to the side. We Saiyans need now more than ever to stick together.
The pair refused to look at one another for the entire trip back to their pods. Vegeta was sickened by her sometimes. Why was he betrothed to that one? Just for her power? Disgusting. He wouldn't have picked her if he could choose. She was a freak of nature, but nevertheless, he had to think of the bloodline now, more than ever. But that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.